Hello everybody, welcome back to What Culture Wrestling. Straight away, gonna report it, gonna just call it like it is. We still have not found Adam Cleary, so you're stuck with me for a while longer. But we shall just keep on trucking because the NXT train just keeps on rolling. I'm wearing yellow, we're back, and my goodness, we got a lot of things that we need to break down. Because of course, we had another round, another big collection of Dusty Cup Dusty Classic matches, tag team things happening. We had the sprinkle of a few singles pieces of gold to add to the mix. And the icing on top of this lovely black and gold yellow cake was, of course, Finn Balor teaming up with his old rival Kyle O'Reilly to take on NXT Tag Team Champions Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan. As you can guess, there's a lot of good stuff on this show, so without further ado, let's talk about the ups and downs for NXT this week. So to kick off this week, we had a lovely little recap of everything that went down last week, which was obviously including that fight pit, that big war that we had between Timothy Thatcher and Tommaso Ciampa. And obviously, as soon as I'd recorded NXT Ups and Downs last week, I didn't actually go online to WWE.com or YouTube, whatever it was, and look at the exclusive video, which showed that Ciampa and Thatcher, they joined forces! Of course, this means that we don't get our dungeon or our Shark Tank match, which is something that I was really praying for and hoping for. But the two seem to work well together because they're already on to the next round of the Dusty Classic. But speaking of the Dusty Classic, our first match of the night involved Drake Maverick and Killian Dane, that odd couple, taking on the NXT newbies, MSK, in a quarter-final match. Just gonna get this out of the way straight away. The music for Killian Dane and Drake Maverick every single week, it makes me chuckle, it makes me giggle. It's good stuff, but that, on top of everything that goes down in the match, it's getting up. Because MSK just built on everything that they did during their debut performance, when obviously they just came to the ring, started doing loads of crazy flips, had all this insane energy, and then got the job done. They did that exactly the same here. They did the same thing, the same formula in this match, but you had the addition of the odd couple chaos that Killian Dane and Drake Maverick always bring. There was a point where Killian Dane just started picking up Maverick and throwing him around like a human battering ram. I don't know why that's what you do with a battering ram. I'm assuming it is. As you can tell, I've been to war. But again, my personal highlight of this MSK match was the assisted moonsault thing that they do, which is now apparently, I've done a bit of research, it's called the hot fire flame, which is when one of them jumps up, the other one pushes the other one, and they do like a moonsault through the air. It looks great. And all of their incredible momentum eventually led to the point where they pulled off like a tag team blockbuster thing. They got the win, so MSK are through to the semi-finals of the Dusty Cup. This team are gonna go far. Then we had the first of what I'd like to call Dusty Classic promo vids. So they were like big highlight packages, big building packages that built the next match that was coming in the Classic for both the women's and the men's tournaments, which were really good. This one involved Dakota and Raquel Gonzalez. It just kind of built them up as this big force, and they were obviously taking on the Robert Stone brand team of Aaliyah and Jessie Kamea. And if you can tell from my reaction to the latter team, I did not have high hopes for them in this match. But before we got there, we had a backstage interview involving Stallion, the #1 contender for the Cruiserweight Championship match that totally happens. Yeah. He was sat backstage with Mackenzie Mitchell and he cut a really weird promo. He was talking about how he became the Lone Star, and he did that by traveling from town to town, looking up in the sky, seeing shooting stars that led him to a really big burning star, which was then a Lone Star in his mind. So he thought, yeah, that's me. But really, to wrap this up, he said that he wants that Cruiserweight title as the rocket onto his back. He wants to strap it on his back so he can become a superstar instead of just a Lone Star. Good luck. And next up, we did have that Dakota Raquel Gonzalez versus Aaliyah and Jessie Kamea match. And my goodness, is getting up. And I'll be honest, I don't want to take anything away from every single person in this match because they all did a really good job for what they were given, the time they were given for the match. I thought it was pretty good. But the key takeaway is just Raquel Gonzalez. She is a force of nature. Honestly, this was the first time we'd seen her in a ring since she absolutely battered Rhea Ripley in that last women's standing match, and she was incredible. There was a point when Aaliyah just tried to like outmuscle her, and she just stayed there. It was like trying to push up against a wall. You're never going to beat the wall. And before long, the Gonzalez factor proved too strong. She clotheslined the living crap out of Jessie Kamea. She like flipped through the air and did loads of spins and all the rest of it. And then Raquel Gonzalez did her single arm, single leg powerbomb thing. And she won the match for Dakota and Gonzalez. So they are going into the next round of the Dusty Classic. The Robert Stone brand aren't looking great right now, but Raquel Gonzalez is looking magnificent. Push this lady to the moon, and then eventually have Dakota Kai, Raquel Gonzalez clash in the ring. It'll just be magnificent, and I'm getting so excited about something that is so far away in my mind. And after this, we had The Way backstage. They were having a little interview with Mackenzie Mitchell, and Johnny Gargano did some incredibly funny Johnny Gargano stuff. What do you expect? So he was being pressed by Mackenzie Mitchell because she was asking, well, Johnny, you know, Kushida's looking pretty good. He's got 2 victories over you recently. Like, it's looking like he might have a North American Championship shot further down the line. How do you feel about that? And Johnny just had a bit of a meltdown, ran away. Austin Theory was like, Mackenzie, we don't say his name. We don't say Kushida because it's kind of like the curse. You know what the curse that happened with Johnny Gargano with the title defenses thing? It's kind of like that 2.0. We don't want to talk about it. And then it really made me chuckle because Gargano came back into the actual like frame and he was like, okay, God, I'm fine. I've got over it. And Austin Theory was like, yeah, sorry you said Kushida, man. We told him not to say Kushida. And he was like, dude, don't say Kushida. Ugh, curse. And just all of this little isolated part of the segment, I'm going to bring it all together. We're going to pick up that Gargano meter and it gets a 72% because, you know, it was good. It was pretty decent, average, standard funniness from the Gargano clan, which is still pretty good. It's not bad. But then this entire segment etched very close to the whole down sphere because Dexter Lumis just suddenly appeared from behind a curtain and he was just stood there and he was like, and I didn't know what to do with it. So it was close, but it's getting up because Johnny Gargano's still hilarious. And then we step back into the smoky, red, terrifying place that is Scarlett Bordeaux's card reading room. And she pulled out 2 cards. She pulled out the Fool, and I think it was the Hierophant was the other one. It was all very creepy, very eerie. And then she was like, you better stay on your path or he will alter his. So I get the feeling this is all going to lead to Karrion Kross eating someone. Right? And then we're going to have a nice little up, a nice positive up, because we got a bit of news on Tegan Nox with her injury that she's had recently. She's on her way back to recovery, and I think it's today, so technically, yeah, today we're going to see a video of Tegan Nox and Brie Larson, Captain Marvel, working out together over like a Zoom call, which I think is really fun, really cool. Go Tegan Nox, I want to see you back soon. And after this, we had a quick match between Tyler Rust and a jobber by the name of Dante Rios, and this was a bit of a development from last week. Because obviously Tyler Rust lost his match against Bronson Reed that he specifically asked for, and then after this, Malcolm Bivens was like, right, from now on, I'm going to pick your matches and we're going to go from there. And he did pick this match, and it worked out for Tyler Rust because he won after a little bit of resistance from Rios. But in the end, after a swinging neckbreaker into like a double arm butterfly submission thing, and then that's what like Wade Barrett was calling it on commentary, he got the win, he got the tap out victory, and then Bivens and Rust had a bit of a selfie after the match. They were like, ha ha ha, we just beat up a jobber, and I'm a little bit intrigued. I'm interested to see where this goes going forward. I think these two have got a very nice dynamic, cool chemistry at this point. I just want to know how many jobbers we're going to have to go through before Tyler Rust is in either contendership to go up against a North American champion or maybe just get his revenge on Bronson Reed. Not sure right now. It's going to get an up. We'll see where it goes. And next we had another Dusty Road Classic quarterfinal match, and my goodness is this tournament progressing quickly. Because it was the grizzled young veterans taking on the team of Kushida and Leon Ruff, and Zach Gibson cut a promo before this match that just got me fired up. He was like, you guys are not as good as us. We're the best team. We've been here for 15 years. You have been here for like a minute. And of course, the grizzled young veterans make that experience count because these two were just like, they weren't just a well-oiled machine. These were like 2 halves of one brain, of one person. They were just tagging in so quickly. There was a point where Zach Gibson got thrown into the turnbuckle, but then James Drake ran to the turnbuckle and like kneed him back into the it was madness. But not even all this experience of being tag team greats could help them when it came to a Kushida hot tag, which we know is one of the most explosive things in all of NXT. Because when Leon Ruff tagged him in, he just did his handspring dropkick. He was like a man possessed, and he was almost looking like this team, this duo of babyface heroes were going to do the unthinkable and beat the grizzled young veterans. But after a particularly fiery comeback from Leon Ruff, things took a very, very painful turn. Because before long, the grizzled young veterans absolutely pulverized Leon Ruff with a Ticket to Mayhem, and now they are now going into the semi-finals of the Dusty Classic. Oh yeah, just a note on this, both of Wade Barrett's picks for the night up until this point actually came through, so he broke the curse from last week. Last week, every single pick that he had didn't win. This week, they all won You never know what you're going to get. But then obviously the big takeaway from this match was the way coming down to the ring to attack Kushida and Leon Ruff after the match. Johnny Gargano absolutely nailed Kushida with the one final beat. But then Dexter Lumis just popped up again and just started staring. And it really freaked out Austin Theory and Johnny Gargano. And I don't know why, because is this intense? Is this intimidating? Hurts my eyes. But it looks like NXT Creative are maybe going to find a way to insert Dexter Lumis into that Johnny Gargano Kushida program. Fine, it gives them something to do, but I think you've got enough there with Kushida and Gargano. I don't know what we're doing with Dexter Lumis. I like him, he needs to be used, but turn him into the Terminator, put some sunglasses on, give him a big leather jacket and a shotgun. Again, not the shotgun, just the other stuff. But then after this, the unthinkable happened. Kurt Stallion was attacked backstage again by what is reportedly Legado del Fantasma. Down. Now let me explain. So William Regal went backstage and he found Legado del Fantasma and he was like, right, who's done this? I know it's you. Oh, you're really making me angry. And then Legado were just like, no, we didn't do it. Regal was like, no, not having any of it. This match is going to happen next week. And if you attack Kurt Stallion backstage again, there's going to be serious repercussions. And then I admit there was something quite intriguing after this because Legado were in the locker room. They looked down, they found a card which said the end is near, which obviously hints at Karrion Kross coming after Santos Escobar and Legado del Fantasma after they mocked him last week, which is all good stuff. But you can't help but feel incredibly sorry for Kurt Stallion because he's not even had a chance to get his hands on Santos Escobar and he's already become the third wheel in what could potentially be a really fun storyline, an incredible match, but I feel really bad for Kurt Stallion. But we'll forget about all that for now because Toni Storm had something to say, so she came down to the ring, she got a mic, and she called out Io Shirai. Obviously, Io Shirai cost Toni Storm and Mercedes Martinez a little bit in their match last week in the Dusty Road Women's Classic, so she wasn't very happy about that, and she wanted to get her hands on Shirai and get her hands on that NXT Women's Championship. And obviously, Shirai came down to the ring then, she was like, yep, I don't like you, let's fight. So the two obviously then started brawling around the ring. It was looking like Io Shirai just got the better of Toni Storm, but then Mercedes Martinez showed up. She battered Io Shirai. She picked up the belt. Toni Storm was not happy about that, so she hit Mercedes Martinez. Both of them got battered by Io Shirai. There was so much going on. But in the end, it was Toni Storm who was stood there with the belt above her head. She was like, yes, I want this championship. I'm going to take it away from Io Shirai. And just book this match, because these three in a takeover level spot on the next takeover, which is I think about 2 weeks away now. I think they said that on commentary. We need this match. All three of these women need a big statement, epic, big promotional match. So just do it, because they'll bring it. They will bring the good stuff, the dynamics. You got the powerhouse Mercedes Martinez, Io Shirai just being the genius of the sky, and Toni Storm just being an absolute badass right now is just going to be magnificent. We need this match. Then we had another weird backstage interview segment because we had Isaiah Swerve Scott. He was talking to Mackenzie Mitchell, of course, because she just has to speak to everybody on this show, and he made Mackenzie Mitchell point at him. He was like, well, everyone points the finger at me, so you point it. She pointed, and he went, I'm not pointing at you. And then he walked away. It was weird. Swiftly after this, we had a big Imperium promotional video, which was reminding us when they're together as a unit, they are a formidable force to be reckoned with, and hopefully in the future, they do something good. I said this last week, I just want a bit more spotlight on Imperium, give them a chance just to go on an absolute tear through the division at some point soon, so I'm happy with this. Then we had another backstage interview because it was the night of those, and Undisputed Era were talking about their match next week, or their next round match against Timothy Thatcher and Tommaso Ciampa. They were very excited about it. They said, yes, we know Tommaso Ciampa really well. We've fought him a couple of times over the years. We don't know Thatcher very well, but we saw him in the fight pit. These guys, they're going to be tough, and you know what? I think they're right. And after this, we had a blow-off, I guess you can call it that, of the mini feud between Isaiah Swerve Scott and Bronson Reed, and this entire little explosive encounter is getting an up. So straight away, you knew you were in for something special because Bronson Reed threw Isaiah Swerve Scott out of the ring, and he just landed on his feet because he's a cat. No, wait, that's Finn Balor. And then there was another moment, like 2 minutes after this, where Bronson Reed just grabbed Swerve Scott's legs, flipped him on the apron, and the bump on his head, I was just like, no, stop it. Your face, your head, your neck, And then Reed just wasn't satisfied with this level of chaos, so he decided to dive through the ropes, which is like Godzilla just jumping through the sky. Didn't think that one through very well, but it looked impressive. But Scott found a way back into the match by isolating this big shoulder of Reed, and it was looking like after a 450 splash he may steal the win. But no, it was not to be. Reed absolutely pulverized him with a tsunami splash for the win, and this is great. It is all getting up, like I said, because Bronson Reed is looking so incredible week after week after week. He's been an absolute bulldozer right now in the ring. He's just altogether looking so much more impressive. And then I like Isaiah Swerve Scott being angry and being annoyed about having the odds stacked against him and feeling like the world's against him. I think he can eat losses in this character right now. Not too many, so don't get too carried away with it. But as of recording, as of this moment, it's all good. Then we had my favorite backstage promo of the day, of the night, of the evening, of the time, because we had Tommaso Ciampa and Timothy Thatcher. They were both sat backstage. They both had the chairs down, which is like Tommaso Ciampa's thing, and he was like, oh, Timothy Thatcher, you can do it as well. And they were like, yeah, we're going to absolutely batter Undisputed Era. We are now a half-toothless duo, and they're incredible. And if you can't tell this already, I'm a big Thatcher guy, so I want him to go and win it. Yeah. And finally, we had our main event of the evening, and it obviously was NXT champion Finn Balor joining forces with Kyle O'Reilly of the Undisputed Era to take on NXT Tag Team Champions Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan. It was a big one. There was a lot of drama. The match itself was brilliant, so it's not just getting an up, it is getting yellow highlighter up. So obviously the story coming into this match was that Finn Balor had to find a tag partner last week when William Regal was like, yeah, you can have your match against Lorcan and Burch to take those two out of the equation when it comes to Pete Dunne, but you need to find a partner. So he found Kyle O'Reilly because he said he had a favour that he had to call in from the Undisputed Era. It was very interesting because these two evidently are still kind of at odds with each other, but they have a combined enemy, a joint focus at this moment, and it is the Kings of NXT. And like the underriding story throughout this match was that Kyle O'Reilly had only just been medically cleared, so his jaw's still wrecked up from Finn Balor. He did it to him, and Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan just targeted that jaw. They kept putting him in like headlocks. They kept rubbing the fists up against his jaw. I've never broken my jaw, but if I did, I guess my reactions would be very similar to what Kyle O'Reilly was doing in this match. He was grimacing like a champ. Like seriously, the level of physicality that these four men just bring to any contest, I'd love to see them in a fight pit because I think they may just break the whole damn cage. But there was a prolonged spell where Balor was trying his hardest to tag O'Reilly back into the match. He was like, Kyle, come on. They just couldn't get there. They couldn't get their hands close enough. But then he finally did. He got the hot tag to Kyle O'Reilly and he just went on a kick party. Not a super kick party, more of a Muay Thai twist in the hips kick party. Oh, I should have stretched before I did that. But then just when it looked like Kyle O'Reilly had exploded his team back into the driver's seat, Danny Burch just targeted that jaw again. He started kicking him, started whacking him, and then he went for a top rope drop kick onto his jaw, hit it, landed on the floor, and then Kyle O'Reilly found a way to reverse somehow into a knee bar, which Danny Burch had no choice. I mean, you get locked in a knee bar by Kyle O'Reilly, it's game over. And it was game over because he tapped out. But straight after this, Pete Dunne arrived on the scene. It was a huge, big distraction. Everyone's like, what is he doing here? He drove off earlier on in the night and now he's back in the arena. It was chaos and a big brawl just ensued. And then Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan had hold of Finn Balor and Pete Dunne had hold of his fingers and he did the whole joint manipulation thing and he yanked him. It looks so gruesome every time that happens, and that happened just before the Undisputed Era Adam Cole and Roderick Strong could get to the ring and make the save. But the closing shot of the evening was obviously the Undisputed Era united with Finn Balor against their common enemy, and my god, this Battle of Europe between Pete Dunne and Finn Balor is just going to be, it's going to be intense, and I'm so excited. And potentially this could pave the way for Undisputed Era versus Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch for the NXT Tag Team Championships if they win the Dusty Classic. So there's a lot of storylines. You gotta love this stuff. It's getting heated up, it's getting hot, so we'll see where it goes. And those have been your NXT ups and downs for this week. Let me know what you think of all of them in the comments section below, and do not forget to like, share and click on that subscribe button for all things What Culture Wrestling. You can find myself on Twitter at gmorgan04. Follow everybody here at What Culture at What Culture WWE. Have the best of weeks going forward. It is Royal Rumble week. We're gonna have the Royal Rumble on Sunday, and in my opinion, we may just see Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest pop up in those Rumbles, those men and women's Rumbles. Keep your eyes peeled for some NXT stars crashing the party. I will see you this time next week. Have a good one.